G'day there, it's Dave here, Dave Mills. Welcome to problem number 11. And we're going to be talking about another point about resultant forces. And we're going to be talking, remember we talked about fixed points, points of application. And looking at this position here, simple question. The king is absent the knight. It's missing a key defender, particularly on f6, which means its light squares are weak, just to begin with. Secondly, we see that black's probably last move was to attack the rook at c1, obviously to come through and one of its big ideas is to pressure and to harass and try and provoke one of those pawns to advance so it can be blockaded and destroyed. So white has more space, okay, to begin with. But here's what happens when you attack with loose pieces. They drop off. So that's a cog. We automatically think, okay, it's loose. My pieces want to get that bishop. Okay, so I can attack it from rook to c3 to, how can I go after that bishop? Okay, and the second thing is we see that the king is a major gravity well. It's a great major. White's pieces want to pull towards it. So I put this problem here because it carries on like a theme from some earlier problems. So I wonder if you've seen it. You want to connect those points of gravity, which maximizes the momentum of your pieces. The activity and the value of those pieces gets maximized. And also, just from a basic point of view, how can you increase the momentum of your... Forget the threat of the bishop taking the rook and losing the exchange. Don't think about that. Think about the momentum of your pieces. What would make them increase your momentum the most? Okay, so yes, you want to link that momentum to, add gravity to it, but what would increase the momentum of your position and your pieces in a staggering way? All right, well, in this case, it's very, very easy. It's obviously barrages and batteries, all right, and so ballistas and trebuchets. That's what I say, barrages, batteries, ballistas. Ballistas are like a barrage behind a piece, a firing piece that moves and discovers the attack. A battery is where there's no barrage, it's just a piece. Like the queen and knight right now are in a battery, and whereas if the bishop was on d1, that would be a ballista. And a trebuchet is when there's three pieces. It's like a triple barrage. It's a triple piece barrage, a trebuchet. So as regards to this position here, I hope you've seen it. I hope that you understand it. It's very, very simple. It's queen to d3. Okay, you've actually built your look at what's happened to the momentum of the pieces. Separately, they've got their individual momentum attacking their squares, but when you go queen d3, it's the value by the numbers of squares that it's attacking in their territory. So in this case here, the queen is valued at 9, the bishop's valued at 3.5, that's 12.5. So 12.5 times 3, and you can just see how devastating that is. And obviously you're threatening checkmate, which is accelerate your position. So you've actually, you haven't just gained that momentum, you've accelerated it. Okay, you've accelerated your position. Because obviously your momentum has changed, you've increased your momentum, you've accelerated it, and you've got a target, you've got a direction. And what's actually happened is these two weaknesses, one of the king and one of the bishop, it's just, at this point now, you're going to lose the bishop. It's as simple as that. And then once you lose the bishop, exchange down and win. Simplification. But that's another type of acceleration. We'll get with, it's to do with tempo. We'll get to that. Denying them tempo in a way. There we have it. That's that video, and that's the problem. Okay, and I hope that you solved it yourself. And you might say, oh, this is just pattern recognition, form a barrage against the king and capture the loose piece. This is just a pattern, this is the tactic, attacking two weaknesses, so on. But it's not as simple as that. It's actually really understanding what's actually happening and why does the queen and bishop suddenly have so much more momentum, okay? And how it's the sum of their value multiplied by their activity. Why is that so significant? And understanding that and how to get that. And black might be thinking, with the attack on the rook, that it's a beginner's move to move so loosely, to perhaps lose focus on the center, and also to not be sensitive to threats against the king. The fact that your knight is on the edge of the board, on the other side of the board, whereas the white king's knight is safely at f3. We can see which king is safe, and that gravity. The fact that king only has the rook defending it is, you've got to be sensitive to that, because the king is a major gravity well. It has a major pull on their pieces and your pieces, okay? So is the center. And in this here, white's advantage is the fact that it has a space advantage in the center, and also the fact is that one move threats. I mean, yes, black might be thinking it's accelerating its position, but actually it's doing is accelerating your opponent's position by moving so loosely. So and not understanding where the threats are going to come from. All right, take care. Bye.